mtu anunua hivi ikipita mkokoteni shilingi 15. Sasa maneno ndio haya.
Shida tuko nayo hapa ni ya masiweji kusipa. Naona kama hii sasa itatengenezwa. Sasa ndio tunaona tunajaribu kujitengenezea tu.
In Kenya, water experts have been implementing the Citizens Report Card since the year 2006 as a means of strengthening the voice of citizens. The aim is to build demand for better water, sanitation and solid waste management services in 3 Kenyan cities: Mombasa on the seaside, Kisumu on the shores of Lake Victoria, and the capital, Nairobi. The Citizens Report Card is a simple but powerful tool that is used to provide feedback to public service agencies on the strengths and weaknesses of their work. Comparing the 3 cities, the survey showed that satisfaction with services provided by public agencies was highest in Nairobi, whether it was water in the mains, water through kiosks, sewer connections, or solid waste services. The high satisfaction rating given to Nairobi is comparative. For example, while Nairobi enjoys the highest satisfaction with solid waste disposal services offered by the City Council, the satisfaction rate is only 30%. So we really need to worry about the situation in Kisumu and Mombasa. The findings showed that in Nairobi, a higher majority of the population is connected to the water mains in or around the house, compared to only half of the population in Mombasa and even less in Kisumu. The survey revealed that in spite of positive results overall, the situation in Nairobi is not true of poor households in Nairobi's informal settlements, where less than 1 of every 5 households have access to mains. Like many residents of Mombasa and Kisumu, they rely heavily on water kiosks and protected sources outside the home. Those who are not connected to mains but can afford the service pay for water delivery. Although water service providers assume that those who can reach a kiosk have access, the Citizens Report Card indicates clearly that most of those who use kiosks are dissatisfied and inconvenienced by the time spent searching for water outside the home. And most of the time, it is women.
Tunataka serikali iangalie maji kama inaweza kuwa maji kwa karibu, kwa sababu maji ndio uhai wa watu, na maji kikosa hakuna kitu unaweza fanya. Kwa hiyo maji kila mahali inapotea, tunahangaika sana.
A few city residents still use unprotected water sources, and in times of scarcity, the number rises.
The water situation is ridiculous. To be very honest, we usually at home don't have water for 4 days a week.
As people struggle to cope with water scarcity, this has led to huge investments in tanks for storage. Projections based on the Citizens Report Card suggest that close to 1.3 billion shillings, or over $200 million, has been invested in storage tanks in Nairobi alone to cope with water scarcity. Most people say they are happy with the color, taste, and smell of water from the mains. With regard to water, priorities emerging from the Citizens Report Card include the fact that access to clean, safe water and a more reliable supply are more important to citizens than reducing the cost of water. Kiosk users also want sources brought closer to them, especially the poor. Overall, satisfaction with sanitation services is much lower than satisfaction with water services. Satisfaction with sanitation was highest in Nairobi, but even here, the survey showed that less than 50% of those interviewed were satisfied. The most common complaint among those using formal sewerage services is flooding, overflowing of the sewers, and the unpleasant smells that result. The survey showed a clear divide between the poor and the non-poor in the types of toilet facilities and sanitation that they use. Pit latrines are used more by the poor than the non-poor and are most common in Mombasa, where more than half of the poor rely on pit latrines. Poor households are also more likely to rely on shared toilets than the non-poor, and poverty emerges as a major constraint to having a toilet in the home. Satisfaction with the number of public toilets and the cleanliness was lowest in Mombasa and highest in Nairobi. The survey shows that priorities for sanitation are that people want more public toilets and greater access to sewers. Evidence of the challenges faced in managing solid waste is everywhere. The Citizens Report Card showed that satisfaction with solid waste management is extremely low in all 3 cities, and particularly among the poor. Only a very small number of city residents understand the role played by local council services. Most residents in Nairobi pay private rubbish collectors to remove their solid waste and dispose of it. A much smaller number of households in Kisumu and Mombasa use private contractors to dispose of garbage. Residents of poor neighborhoods in all 3 cities cope by throwing rubbish in open areas or drains, while others burn their rubbish. A very small number use the official council dustbins or dump sites, while others bury their solid waste.
Hakika sehemu hii yetu sio safi. Ukitembea hata vichorochoroni utaona kila sehemu ni uchafu, kila sehemu ni uchafu.
Most of those interviewed reported that they do not feel the impact of public health officers in ensuring clean environments.
Shida tuko nayo hapa ni ya masiweji kusipasipa. Naona kama hii sasa itatengenezwa. Sasa ndio tunaona tunajaribu kujitengenezea tu.
Many residents were not sure what the role of the public health officer is, both in solid waste management and in sanitation. Although the government announced reforms in the water and sanitation sector using radio and print adverts, the changes taking place are largely unknown among the public.
When you talk about the middlemen, you find most of these people are landlords who are staying elsewhere. Yeah? So you are trying to trace them to complain about your problem. But I think it's good if you are dealing directly with the problem.
On being asked their preferred means of accessing communication, consumers reported engaging the water company officials directly in face-to-face communication was their first choice, followed by local radio and then the newspaper.
What has been said before has now been amplified today through the consolidated voices of citizens in 3 cities. That is Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu through the Citizen Report Card.